Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes for people to join, and then I'm going to get started. I'm probably going to do at least two other live streams tonight. These will hopefully be relatively short live streams. There are a couple of things that I want to talk about tonight, and I just want to hit these topics and keep it moving. I will respond to your comments in the chat. I look forward to your commentary in the chat. So I'm glad that people are tuning in. I hope that people continue to like the videos and share the videos, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Also, I want to encourage you all to follow me on Twitter at New Pos Blog, and you can follow me on Facebook at New Possibilities. Also, I want to encourage you all to follow our book club page on Facebook. It's titled Reading as Activism. Every month on the last Saturday of each month, we discuss an important book written by Black authors or books about the Black experience. So I encourage you all to like our Facebook page. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. There's an article that I want to share with you all about some developments in the Breonna Taylor case. As you know, I've been doing a few videos about the Breonna Taylor case. And before I get into the settlement, I'll just recap some of the facts. The police had a no-knock warrant issued for Breonna Taylor's residence. They claimed that she was a part of some drug ring. They claimed that she was a part of this operation ran by her ex-boyfriend. So the police executed a search warrant. And according to her current boyfriend, the police did not identify themselves when they executed this warrant. They claimed that they knocked on the door and they identified themselves, but they had a no-knock warrant. They entered the residence. And of course, if somebody enters your home and they're in plain clothes, they don't identify themselves, you're going to presume that they are intruders, and you're going to do what's necessary to protect your life and the lives of your loved ones. And that's exactly what Breonna Taylor's boyfriend did. He fired shots at these police. He shot one of them. I think he shot him in the leg. The police returned fire, and Breonna Taylor ended up getting shot multiple times, and she was killed. And so now there has been a demand that charges be brought against these police officers. There have been protests throughout the country demanding justice for Breonna Taylor. You've had groups and activists like Tamika Mallory and Mason, protesting, organizing. You've had Oprah Winfrey, for instance, take out billboard ads calling for justice in Breonna Taylor's case. And Breonna Taylor's family is represented by Ben Crump and a whole team of attorneys. And they had a suit against the city for wrongful death and other things. And I'll read from the article about that. But they had a suit, and there has been a settlement reached in that case, and that's a major development. But at the end of the day, although that is a sign of progress, there still is no actual justice because no charges have been filed against the police officers who killed this sister. And the sad thing is you have an African-American attorney general there in Kentucky who is dragging his feet. He's not moving forward with the case. And it's important to point out that this guy is a Trump supporter. This guy is a protege of Mitch McConnell, one of these right-wing Republicans that are, obstructing progress in this country. So that's just to give you a background. And what I'm going to do is read from this article, share some key highlights, and then come back with some additional thoughts. Shout out to Water Sniper. Thanks for tuning in. I'm not familiar with that situation. I'm going to look into that, Water Sniper, And I may do a video about that at a later time. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so that you all can see this article that I'm going to reference. Here's the article from, I think this is the New York Times. Hold on. Yes, the New York Times. So it says, after months of protests that turned Breonna Taylor's name into a national slogan against police violence, city officials agreed to pay her family $12 million and instituted changes aimed at preventing future deaths by police. So it says that the agreement settled a wrongful death lawsuit brought by the young woman's family. And it says it comes 6 months after the death of Miss Taylor, a 26-year-old emergency room technician, in a botched drug raid. So let's continue on through here. And it goes on to say that this agreement was sizable, with her family receiving double the amount paid to the relatives of Eric Garner, the New York man who died of a police chokehold in 2014. And then it talks about the ranges of settlements for other similar type of cases. So I'm going to go to some of the other key provisions. So this article also points out how the Attorney General's investigation will be released soon. You know, the results of that investigation will be released soon. And the bottom line is this: if there are no charges pressed, this is going to be the closest thing that they get to justice, as this article points out. So let's continue on through this article. And this settlement requires certain changes be implemented in the police department. And I think that that's a very positive thing. Instead of, you know, the family just getting paid off and bought off in silence, you actually have some kind of changes that are being implemented as a result of this settlement agreement. It says that among the changes are a requirement that commanding officers review and give written approval for all search warrants. And it also goes on to say that the department has agreed to overhaul how simultaneous search warrants are conducted. You know, so that's an important thing. And it says an early warning system will be adopted to flag officers with disciplinary problems. You know, and it points out that that measure was aimed at, you know, the officer who was fired in this particular situation. Brett, his name is Detective Brett Hankerson. So it talks about how there were multiple complaints of excessive use of force as well as sexual misconduct filed against that detective. So they want to be able to flag officers that have those kinds of records. And it also says officers will be encouraged to perform 2 hours of paid community service each pay period and will receive housing credits to encourage them to live in the neighborhoods they police. And it also talks about how it will be mandatory for ambulances to be idling nearby when police conduct a search. And this goes on to say that the city has already enacted changes since this has happened. The city passed Breonna's law, which barred the use of no-knock search warrants. Again, that was the type of warrant that was issued in this case. And it's the kind of warrant that resulted in this woman getting killed. Because, those kind of warrants are inherently dangerous. They put not only the occupants of the house at risk, but they put police officers at risk. Because if somebody just knocks down your door, as I pointed out earlier, in the middle of the night or the early hours of the morning, they don't have any kind of uniforms on or badges or any of that stuff. They come barging in your house. Your first instinct is going to be to defend yourself. So the police are being protected by this, getting rid of this no-knock search warrant. And Black people like Breonna Taylor and other people as well are being protected by getting rid of this ridiculous no-knock warrant policy that you have in many parts of this country. And I think that that's only for that particular city, unfortunately. So that's the story real quick. And I just want to highlight a couple of points before I close out on this. And that's this, first of all, like, this is not solely about the power of the attorneys and just how persuasive they are in reaching a settlement agreement. That settlement was reached as a result of the pressure that activists around the country applied to that city. It's not just about the attorneys, it's about the work of activists, protesters, and all that. And it's just another reminder of just how important it is to be engaged. Another reminder of how powerful protests can actually be. Because without those protests, without that outrage, without attention being brought to this issue, it's highly unlikely that a settlement would have been reached. And, so this is a positive development, but the whole thing is not over yet. People should not relax and just chill out now, because at the end of the day, one of the most important things is to have justice, to have the officers who killed this woman punished for their crimes. Because if they are not punished, there is no real deterrent for this type of reckless and deadly type of activity committed by the police. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and I'm going to check out the last couple of comments real quick before I close out. So I'm going to check those out, and then I'm going to start up with a couple of other live streams. Shout out to Evans. Evans said, if no charges are pressed, sorry, I hit the wrong key. So it says, if no charges are pressed, then the attorney general needs to go. Exactly. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And, I think that attorney general is elected. I think that is an elected position, if I'm not mistaken, as in most jurisdictions. So there needs to be a concerted effort, assuming that, if no charges are brought, there needs to be a concerted effort to remove that man from office. And it's my understanding that Kentucky is a relatively conservative state. And I'm not going to look it up right now, but that's my assumption based on who the senator is and who the attorney general is. It has to be a conservative state. So that will be an uphill battle removing that guy from office, but that's a battle worth being waged. And we need to use our votes as political weapons, as political tools to advance our agenda. And again, as I've said time and time again, this is why elections matter. You know, somebody in this position has the power to render justice. So that shows you how important that office is, that position is. And we need to apply pressure. So Elaine Lloyd says she doesn't think he's going to press charges. And, you know, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't press charges just based on who he is. You know, this is a man who defended Trump during during the Republican National Convention. He downplayed racism and all that kind of stuff, just like a lot of those House Negroes did at the Republican National Convention. So I wouldn't be surprised either if he didn't press charges. But in the meanwhile, people need to keep applying pressure to this man. Keep applying pressure so that we can have justice. Because again, these protests matter, our votes matter, and obviously our lives matter. So we just have to remain vigilant and keep pushing for change, keep fighting to end police brutality. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings. And I hope that you can join the next 2 live streams that I plan to do tonight. Peace and blessings, everyone. Have a good night.